Greetings, everyone. How are you doing, brothers and sisters out there? I hope you are doing well. My name is Sister Cece, and you are listening to Cece on Air on PQLR1 Radio, where Yah is first. Of course, the highlight of the station would be the music that is brought by the brothers and sisters that are glorifying the Most High to the best of their ability and doing a great job at it. So we just thank Yah for those artists that have come on. I'm thankful for my husband, Yazia, aka Willie Pruitt, who has put this all together with, of course, the unction of Yah. So we are so thankful. I'm also thankful to the brothers and sisters that come on and do an interview with me. And today is no different. We are going to talk with our brother Yoel of Yoel Helps. And it is a nonprofit organization looking to assist people in need. So we're going to make sure that we tune in, because I think that there's a lot of misconception concerning homeless people, what it takes to get you homeless. But statistics say that a large portion, I don't know the exact number, of people in the United States are less than one paycheck away from being homeless. And I think that a great many of us can resonate with that statement because of just different situations that we might have gone through. And not to mention the way that the system is set up. It's not set up to give you a hand up. It's not set up to assist you in any way, shape, or form. It's actually in place to hold you captive. And like my husband and I were talking about, just, this whole Black History Month. It's amazing how we just think that that's such a wonderful thing. And then some of us are like, well, you have to just be happy that they're recognizing us at all. Well, not necessarily. Not really, not the way that they're doing it. It is all in a capitalistic manner. And something that we talked about today, like I said, was you can look at YouTube and you can see all kind of documentaries on slave plantations and all this different stuff. And I was looking at one last night, and I saw how they were romanticizing just the slave plantations and the things that were going on and all of that, not mentioning the brutality at all. But as you look around your city, I know I can look around my city, and I can see where there is mass construction happening. There are apartments being built like no tomorrow. I mean, there are apartments everywhere being built, and I'm talking about hundreds of people living in these buildings. But what the Ruach or Holy Spirit told me last night was those are the new plantations. Those are the new housings. That's the new plantation style, is these huge apartment complexes. Because if you think about it, it's not really a freedom that goes on in this country. And I would say around the world, because everybody follows the United States. But they're housing people in these huge plantations in order to manipulate and control you even further. They're moving towards smart houses, smart apartments, and we all think that, wow, we are so cool because we have all this technology. But no, they're moving people into these plantations so that they can lock you in. I mean, that's why I'm not afraid to say it, but that's what's going on. You get these smart utility meters, you get the smart door things, you get the smart this and smart that, the Ring camera and all that. They have AI controlling your dwelling place. And they will say that it's all in the name of safety, but it's really not. It's not to keep people out, but it's to keep you in. You'll see later on, I'm pretty sure. So we need to be mindful of that. And when we think about homeless people, honestly, I know that there's different states of homeless people. There's different states of homelessness. There are different demographics of people that are homeless, but they might be some of the smartest people out there at this time, because at least they know how to survive. They're out there on the street. They probably barter with each other quite a bit because they don't have any money. Now, I'm not talking about the drug aspect of it all, because that's a whole nother different story. But we just really have to remember what the word says, envy not the ways of the heathen. That's what gets us in trouble. We want to live like this and live like that, when we really should be paring down, coupling with people, and just doing what we have to do. and taking care of business so that we are not in these situations. Of course, we know Yah ordains whatever he ordains, but he also says the fool and his money is soon parted. So if we've been a fool with our money, sometimes we have to be in this very, very lowly state in order for Yah to bring us back up. But that was my rant and rave. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to talk to our brother Yoel of Yoel Helps, and we're going to get him on here. And let's see here. I'm going to unmute him, and I'm going to start his video. All right, praise Yah.
Hey, praise the Most High Yah.
Greetings, brother. How are you doing?
I think I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing
Okay.
very well, thank you. Blessings to you and your home and your husband, of course.
Yes, and my granddaughter who is being babysat by a movie right now. So
And the grandbaby.
right. She knows what to do. I gave her dinner and she's sitting down, so she's all right. Yes. Yes.
Hallelujah.
So let's get into it. The first question we would like to ask, we kind of revamped our question here. And it is,
Okay.
how has the love of the Most High Yah changed, molded, and motivated your life, Brother Yoel?
Oh wow, you want the short
Yeah.
answer or the long answer?
I got all night. Yeah.
Well, the love of the Most High permeates
Mhm.
through many areas of our human existence.
Mhm.
Um, whether we were in the clutches of sin or whether we were coming out of other areas of religion,
Mhm.
Christianity, whatever it may be,
Mhm.
the Father began to tug upon my heart when He instructed my wife and I to move away from this church we were very active in,
Mhm.
very instrumental,
Mhm.
served in a lot of capacities. But the Most High began to woo me and pull me away. And for someone that's operated in a lay pastor capacity and has been in leadership, it's hard when you go to your leader and you instruct them that I have to step away, and that's all you got. I remember my wife asking me, this is about 18 maybe years ago. She said, "So where are we going? What church? What ministry are we going to be a part of?" And I said, I don't know. I have no idea. I just know we have to pull away, and I didn't even fully understand it at that time. And so to make this whole delivery very very short, because that's what I'm going to do here. At least I'm going to attempt to do that. I'm going to make because I can talk. Okay.
You don't have to. I'm telling you, we're here for it, because what we have to always realize is our testimony is just that. It's one that is to testify about what Yah has done for us. And, there's a lot of people going through things right now, and whatever it is that you have to say might just be that thing that shakes them up and says, wait a minute, if Yah did it for him, he's going to do it for me too. So
Hallelujah.
testify on, brother.
Hallelujah. So even in my Christian discipline, my wife and I began to study things like Halloween and Easter and New Year's Day and the origins of Christmas. And you find this deep amazement that these things are rooted in Celtic or pagan or non-Hebraic cultures. And then you look even deeper and you find a darker side of what this all meant. Santa Claus or Saint Nicholas, and another expression as it relates to the Celtic priest, the Druid priest. Old Saint Nick, his name is also called the sneaky one, or the evil one, or the vile one, Diabolos, or the devil. And then you dig and look at the traditions of elves and what they mean from a historic sense. They were essentially spirit entities that brought gifts, good or bad, depending on how you lived your life. For those that believed in that Celtic Druidic priest system, and so you go much deeper, and it's like, oh my goodness, this thing is far away from the birth, if you don't mind me using language, the birth of Christ.
Oh, no. You can use the language, absolutely.
Okay.
But this is the thing. Like, there's so many, it's like you're watching a sitcom. Like, let's just say I'm watching Eight is Enough, right?
Sure.
Let's say Christmas is Eight is Enough. Okay. How many spinoffs are there of Eight is Enough? There's so
Yeah,
many spinoffs. That's how Christmas is. There's so many different directions it takes. Like, okay, one direction is supposed to be about Christ, about the Father, about his only begotten Son. Okay, that's one vein. But then you've got the whole Santa Claus thing. Neither of those mix. Then you have stuff that people have never heard of, like Black Pete, where the man is in the black face and he's over there in
yeah.
Europe, marching down the street with the elves and all that stuff. And then you have Krampus, like stuff that people have never heard of. Like, how is this thing holy?
You're right.
No.
You're right. The concept of the wreath, the concept around the kissing under the mistletoe, all those have such a pagan root. The uh, gift giving within the innocence is one thing because African cultures have done that, but under the pretense, under the establishment of Christmas, it meant something totally different, totally dark, totally demonic, and so anyhow, so what the point I'm getting to is that even when we were Christians, at the latter part of this life, there were things we just gave up. It's like we don't do Christmas, and we stopped giving Christmas gifts to one another. We certainly ain't doing no doggone Halloween. That's one of the most evil. My good night, man. And so we began to kind of pull away from these things, not really knowing the greater context. And that's so back to your original question, the love of the Most High Yah, what has it done? I think I think in many of our Hebrew experiences, we tend to identify with the present and the now of where we are without giving much appreciation for the transition that some of us have come through and some of us that are coming through. And I think there needs to be and I say it rather aggressively, even when I teach or share, when I play music, is that we can't forget where we came from, and we can't forget the grace that the Most High Yah had upon us during our transition point. And so I have a huge affinity for my Christian brothers and sisters that are in a space where they're beginning to learn because we were there. Some of us were there just 6 months ago. Some of us were there 2 weeks ago. Some of us were there 20, years ago. I had a dear brother. I did an event this weekend. When I say I did an event, it was more of a collaboration of different organizations. Um, Many were Christian. I think I was the only one that represented anything that was Hebraic related. Howbeit, one of the organizers, he's a Hebrew brother. One dear brother came to me, very active in the Christian community, very active amongst artists and rappers. He pulled up. I was standing outside getting prepped and ready for the event, and he pulled up with a vehicle full of tables and chairs to be part of the setup team. He said, "Brother Yoel," he said, "How long you been, an Israelite?" And I just began to casually share my experience, much of which I've shared a little bit with you. He said, I've been doing my own study, man, and I've taught my kids like we know who we are. We're Israelites, man. And he said, my thing, my concern is that coming into this knowledge is one thing, but it disheartens me when I see other Israelites portraying the bad image of the person of Christ.
Mm.
He said, "How do you say his name?" I say Yahusha. Say some say Yeshua, some say Yahashua. I said there's a variety. He
Right.
said, okay. He said, okay, which I'm fine. He said, but man, I see a lot of brothers that are zealous and excited, and they're misrepresenting, whom we call Christ, whom we call
Yeah.
Yeshua, Yahashua.
Yeah.
And I said that brother, I said, I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
That has been my concern.
Mm-hmm.
You can represent the person, the character of Yahusha
Mm-hmm.
without the so-called verbal onslaughts and the negative verbiage. And granted, there's times when you have to speak and share and
Right.
teach aggressively, but throughout the common aspect of life,
Right.
walking past somebody and you hear brother suited up and he says, "Kiss my shoe, white man." That's
Well,
not really becoming
no,
of wooing
no,
someone. So this was his experience as he's talking to me.
mm-hmm,
And he's very, and one thing about anytime you have and I believe, I'm a huge believer in building relationships with
mm-hmm,
people, regardless of where they are. They
mm-hmm,
could be homosexual,
mm-hmm,
they could be in a wayward lifestyle,
mm-hmm,
but if you can build a relationship with people,
mm-hmm.
over time they have a level of trust to where they can talk with you very candidly and very openly.
Right.
And so this dear brother, as he continues to share, he
Mm-hmm,
said, "Man, yeah, when I came into this learning, man, I was angry."
mm-hmm,
I said, "We all were." And
mm-hmm,
I was just so upset, man. And I found myself getting angry, and I still do, but I got to tame myself. I said, that right there is the discipline and the phase we all go through. And not everybody that's not our color hates us. Not everybody. I
mm-hmm,
said, now, some that do, but not everybody.
mm-hmm,
And so he begins to share just in this whole dialogue. Not that I ever kind of anticipated that conversation, but where
mm-hmm,
I met him at years ago,
mm-hmm.
my conversation now that he just saying that he initiated this conversation.
Wow.
It was very impressive to see where this person has matured up to the point where he now communicates to his family
Mm,
who they are. And so if I could have for our Hebrew listeners, if I could have you peep in just a glimmer, just a glimpse of the reality of what's going on, there's a huge wave of people that you still may call Christian that know who they are. And if you simply through the grace of the Most High and the gift and the skill and the talent you have can be just a little merciful, provide insight, provide enlightenment when you can, more than anything, provide friendship, because you can easily embrace someone they're already walking towards you. Just offer a hand. Hey, if you need any questions about feast days, if you have any questions about how we observe certain things, why we wear what friend does actually mean. I'm not going to knock you or hate you because of this, but more than importantly, be there as a brother, build that point of connection, because you'd be surprised over time who's actually watching you. To my Hebrew brothers and sisters, you'd be
yeah.
surprised
Mm-hmm,
how much detail your family member and your
mm-hmm,
friends and your coworkers observe and listen, and they see you and they watch you. You may think
mm-hmm,
they're staring.
mm-hmm,
Many times they're simply observing your character disposition,
mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
way you, the way you think, the way you, what some people may say, the way you philosophically think, or the way you process.
Right.
And so many times people are their antennas, they're very
Mm,
receptive, but they may not vocalize that just yet. And
yes.
so you being simply just a sefer, a written epistle read by all men,
Mm,
letting your light so shine so
yes.
that you can see your good works and glorify Abba, which
Mm-hmm.
is in heaven. And so we now become a walking institution to represent the Most High Yah.
Right.
So again, to your question, how has the love of the Most High um, impacted me?
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably say just what I've shared in so many words. If you can summarize all that, I would say that's just one piece. And so here we are. We've been here in Metro Atlanta, coming from the Midwest, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
Been here about 18 years,
Okay.
and about the last 8 years, I would say, transitioning into what I would call my Hebrew awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Separate from stepping away from the Christian church,
Right.
I began to dig into a deeper study, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know why people of color had such adversity.
Mm.
And so I began to look at YouTube videos. I began to do research. I began to look at old maps, world maps. I looked at the Atlantic slave trade, and then I went further past that,
Mm-hmm.
and I began to see these old world maps with Judah on the northern part of Africa.
Right.
And I began to look at these migration charts where you had
Mm-hmm.
early migration,
Mm-hmm.
um, going into Ethiopia, and how you have one of the earlier Bibles, and these books were clearly identified. Others, as we would see them, were taken out, and then you begin to see these migration tables
Mm-hmm.
from people in
Mm-hmm.
North Africa into the western component of Africa, Nigeria, Ghana. And so I did a very intellectual, a very academia related study, because I didn't want
Mm-hmm.
to be fixated just on the politics of the transatlantic
Right.
slave.
Right.
I didn't want to be fixated just on the historic, but I wanted to understand the cultural
Mm-hmm.
depth, the language adjustment, and how certain cultures, the early African cultures, how they had a Seventh Day or rest day observance.
But how did you narrow that down though? Because
Well,
well,
I began to just study everything as much as I could about
okay.
slave
Mm-hmm.
trade, and
Mm-hmm.
people of color, and the
Mm-hmm.
culture of certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow I just gravitated into this space.
Mm-hmm.
I began to see a distinction between those that were the slaves that were sold. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, those that were African that were sold into slavery,
Mm-hmm.
and those that were African that sold the other people into slavery.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
thinking, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
something is so something. And then you begin to see the Portuguese conquests,
Mm-hmm.
and how they were fueled and financed to bring about slave trips, to take people to further slavery across to what was known as
Right.
North Americas. And so we have
Mm-hmm.
slaves that were sold into Canada, as we
Everywhere, the four corners of the
yeah,
world.
yeah. There's a huge up to 80% were sold into Brazil. And
Yes.
so a lot of Brazilians,
Mm-hmm.
and the where we get our Puerto Rican and Latin brothers from,
Right.
uh, much of them have Hebrew of the tribe of
Yes.
blood.
Yes. And a great identity crisis. They will be blacker than you and me and say, I'm not black. I am. They identify with being Hispanic or Puerto Rican or
Yeah,
whatever. And
yeah,
I mean, not that we should be saying that we're black, but just for the context of everything, you know.
sure,
Yeah,
absolutely,
they
absolutely.
totally I know
Yeah,
like people from Dominican Republic suffer from this well, like they really do. Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
okay, no, different drop off, but we were on the same boat.
It's simple.
Yeah.
I've been to Jamaica once or twice,
Mm.
and Jamaicans, many of them, they know exactly who they are. I mean, they're
Exactly. That's why they're so fiery.
Abuda.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Hmm.
The Zion, the Lions of Zion.
Yeah,
And
they're
so,
fiery. Yeah, they're fiery. Yeah. So I'm with you, you know, and it's a constant study. And I'll be honest, I'm not over getting angry at times. You know, I, like I said, was watching the documentary last night, and I'm like, these folks up here are
yeah,
really romanticizing this woman's garden as if she lifted a finger in this garden. They
yeah.
talked about this rose garden that was so elaborate, and they showed the tools that she used and the machinery. I'm like, that woman was sitting on the porch fanning herself, drinking her mint julep tea. She was not working. That was Black people, our people, Israelite people out in this yard working the land. And that's something that bothers me a lot, just how they romanticize this stuff. Even the fact that they've given us this quote Black History Month. That's just so that they can feel good about the things that they've done. And it just bothers me. They don't talk about, you know, they'll talk about selling Hemmings and what's his name? Oh my goodness. What is it? Thomas Jefferson, as if it was some sort of consensual relationship. Tell me if the woman had a choice. I mean, but to even act like it should be consensual, tell me. And then, you know, you want to talk about these things, and you might mention, you know, how they took advantage of the women and raped them. But why y'all not talking about how they raped Black men? These nasty varmints raped Black men, which all of that stuff has transcended down into us for generations, all of this treachery, because it is even in their science books, it's been shown and known that trauma passes down.
Up to 14 generations. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was looking at the research, and someone that's in the study of DNA, RNA, and all the above
yeah.
is we can prove the
Mm,
evidence of trauma
mm,
14, 15, 16 generations. And that also affects our the docility that we have when we see certain aggressive things that happen against our people.
Yeah.
We'll march for a
Mm-hmm.
minute and
Mm-hmm.
we'll make a big stink about it,
Mm-hmm.
but then we retreat back into this docility where the fight is gone.
Right. It's like it didn't really happen. That was yesterday.
Yeah. Like, yeah, well, and so yeah, there's moments I get upset.
Mm-hmm.
I get hugely upset. Part of my study included studying how we were treated in
Mm-hmm.
a medicinal medical standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Oh, goodness.
A lot of medicines.
Whew. Oh, don't even talk about Harriet Washington, a medical apartheid. Have you read that book?
Oh boy, we
Yeah.
were tested on them with no concern about pain.
No anesthesia. We have a higher
No pain.
tolerance for pain. He did hysterectomies on
Yeah.
women in his yard. In
Yeah.
his yard, no pain medicine. I can't imagine that.
And so do I get angry? I get angry. I still get angry.
Hmm.
Um, and then you look at science, and then you look at industry, and then you look at ownership. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur about 24 years, something like that.
Hmm.
Been in my technology industry 30 plus years. We're talking way back since 1990 in high school, right?
Oh, goodness.
And the reason I'm sharing all that is because as I would study areas and industries of entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
we own as a people less than 1% of any
Oh.
industry. And what's been given to us is the exchange of taking away assets and giving, quote, spirituality. And so we tend to affirm anything spiritual,
Hmm.
but we have no control and ownership of real asset.
Hmm.
And what happens is you can cause a people to be lopsided when they're
Hmm.
spiritual only,
Hmm.
but they don't understand the dictates that they should have over actual wealth. If you have wealth, if you have wealth and you can amass wealth the right way,
Hmm.
you can define and create politics for the advantage and for the advancement of people. For example,
Hmm.
how many universities are named after people of color? How many hospitals are named after people of color?
Hmm.
How many precincts are museums? And I don't mean, here and there.
Hmm.
I mean, what monumental establishments do we have named after any of us, even if we have a measurable influence? And so you find out that if you don't have a political force, now many could debate what that looks like, but if you don't have real
Hmm.
real material, real ownership of an industry,
Hmm.
it's hard to force the values of what you deem as being correct and appropriate if you have no real strength, no real control. For example, imagine this, if you will. And this is a very creative thing to consider and challenge because of how we've been taught. But imagine if you would, if Hebrew Israelites had control, righteous control, over the entire financial institution. And I'm not
I can't
saying
even imagine that.
that's my point. And the thing is, I'm never suggesting that we become material. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking
Right.
about the management of true real wealth and assets. Imagine if we had the majority ownership
Hmm.
of gold,
Hmm.
and real natural resources. For example,
Right.
now let's look at the inverse of this. The countries like China,
Hmm.
Japan, the many countries of Europe, France has a stronghold still over the continent of Africa,
Right.
where they're mining on a daily by the tons cocoa, um, coffee,
Hmm.
um, palm, where we get our palm olive oil
Hmm.
and hair products,
Hmm.
for the lotions and
I've seen that. I've
body
seen it.
supplements.
Hmm.
Cobalt that's
Hmm.
used for batteries,
Hmm.
Duracell. The majority of all the Duracell batteries,
Hmm.
their raw materials comes from the
Hmm.
iron ore that's in the continent of Africa. So now that we can see that,
Hmm.
now we can quit thinking so aspect of materialistic, because those resources come from a continent that was once ours and still is. But so now we can see
Yeah.
the lopsidedness both in how we think when it comes to real wealth and assets
Hmm.
versus not having them,
Hmm.
not having the ownership, but
Hmm.
now we're entirely spiritual with no real authority. If you have authority,
Yeah.
your face would be on the coin, on the bill. But we don't have that.
The
And
coin, the
also
coin and the bill would be worth something. But you know what?
worth something.
I feel like this as I look around and as I learn more and more, and as I grow even more disgusted, I just am set. I know that the only wealth worth having is the wealth and the knowledge and the understanding that we must repent
Right.
because this world system is so far gone. And I'll say that because of the work that I was doing today. I was trying to find some foreign workers for my client because we
Yeah.
know that they are like a dime, you can get 10, a dime a dozen, whatever. So as I'm looking at how much these people who come over here are given. They are given a whole lot. And
100% of that. Yeah.
when I say a whole lot, they have you signing up to be a liaison to get them to the whole lot that this country has for them.
Sure.
And this is just like the stuff that we don't know is astronomical.
Sure.
But for us, they could never pay us back for what they've done. So the only wealth that we have is repentance to the Most High Yah, getting on our hands and knees, telling everybody else, grabbing your children, pulling them down on their hands and knees, and repenting. That's the only wealth that is worth having in this world because everything else is too far gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what we need to do right now, brothers, we're going to take a commercial break and we're going to come back. You are listening to CC on Air on PQLR1 Radio. And this is our brother Yoel of Yoel Helps. And he is going to definitely talk to us about his nonprofit organization so that you all can get involved. But just stay tuned for part 2. We'll be back in just a moment.
What is the condition of your heart? You either have the love of Yah or desperately wicked, either circumcised or uncircumcised, either purified or defiled, either close to Yah or you far from Yah. You either have the law of Yah in your heart or the law of sin and death. You have the fear of Yah or no fear of Yah, either single-hearted or double-hearted. Either out of your belly flow rivers of living water, out of your mouth come blessings and cursings. Your heart is either kept or guarded or it's open and overrun. Scripture says that, oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just. For the righteous mighty one tries the reins and the heart. Therefore examine and prove your heart and be lawful.
All right, brothers and sisters, we are back. You are listening to CC on Air, and this is on what? PQLR1 Radio, where Yah is first. And I want to invite you to tune into our YouTube channel. Of course, tune into the radio station itself. You can connect with us on Facebook, and on Facebook, you will see links. In our YouTube channel, you will see links if you do not have an Android phone, and it will connect you to our radio station. Now, we're still working on getting that Apple allocation for you all, but for now, if you have an Android app, or Android phone, I should say, you can definitely get right onto the radio and listen and be blessed and not worry about your children or your grandma or your mama or your daddy. You can listen to this radio network and just be free to praise the Most High Yah. So we thank everyone that is involved, including this brother today. This is Brother Yoel, and he's of Yoel Helps. He's got a wonderful nonprofit organization, and you can tell that the love of the Father is in his heart because he is truly going after righteousness, helping others to learn about the kingdom and decide to repent and turn from their wicked ways. So welcome back, brother. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you. Thank you again. That was a good discussion we had earlier, I believe.
Oh, we can have many. I mean, my
Thank
goodness, when we're on the phone, we had a good discussion too. But the thing is this, just to sum it all up, kind of, I like what you said. You like to build relationships. I'm kind of going way back, but you like to build relationships. And in those building of those relationships, you can reach people on the street that do have like this anger built up, and they really don't even know why. A lot of times it is a true identity crisis. I think a lot of us, even though we say that we're following Yah and we're in this new walk and all of that, we still deal with identity crisis. So when you're able to let people, like you hold the mirror up to them so that they can see that they have got some crumbs on their mouth, like a sister said yesterday, they got some crumbs on their mouth, then they're able to look and see, hey, oh my goodness, I need a wet one or a tissue or something. Can you help me, Brother Yoel? So that's what you're able to do when you see people faced with these identity crises and the anger. You can actually say, hey, well, let's talk about who you are foundationally. Let's talk about how you got here in the first place. Let's talk about where you're going, so you are put in a position that you're able to do those things as you build those relationships.
Yeah, and some of these relationships, when I say they take time, they take time. We're
Yes.
talking sometimes 18 months, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
Um, there's levels, as you mentioned earlier, there's cycles that people go through in their
Mhm.
homeless experience.
Mhm.
Um, I remember I take my small DJ set when it's appropriate. So I was out providing some ministry in a very public area downtown.
Okay.
This gentleman said, "Man, okay, good. You had your music, you had your time to do your thing. We're gonna shut this down."
Oh.
I was like, "Well, you need to give me a moment." No, no, you're gonna shut it down, such and such. I said, "Well," I said, "Give me a moment."
Mhm.
Did her thing. I went over to him after we were done. He said, "You afraid of me?" I said, "No, I'm not afraid of any man." I said, "I'm afraid of the Most High Yah."
Right.
And I'm looking at him like right in front of his face, standing right in front of him. I said, "Man, listen." I said, "We all have a purpose, and I want to let you know my purpose is to love my people." And I said, "I love you," and I tapped him on his chest. I said, "I love you,
Right.
and if I've done anything to hurt you and disrespect you,
Mm.
will you forgive me?"
Mm.
And this is all after that big bravado
Right.
move.
Right.
And he looked at me,
Mhm.
and a tear fell to his face. He put his arms around me.
Oh
He
my
said, "Man,
goodness.
man, I love you too, man. I love you, man. I love you." I said, "So
Oh
when
my
you asked me, do I
goodness.
fear anyone?" I said, "No, I don't fear you." I said, "Brother, I got too much respect and too much love
Right.
for you. I don't
Right.
cast any stones. I don't cast any judgment.
Right.
I love you, man, and I respect you. Will you
Right.
forgive me?"
Right. And
It's
sometimes
all
that's what they want. They want someone to fear them, because they've been afraid. So now they want someone to fear them.
yeah,
And
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's
And
terrible.
yeah, and you have these other scenarios where you go to hand someone the water and they jerk back, they pull away because they've been offended in some way through some
Exactly.
means.
Yeah, and
Um,
why are you giving like they want to know your angle. Like why are you doing kind things,
yeah, what do you want?
what's in it? What's in it for you? And I'm like, are you serious? Like I've never like when I first encountered this and people are freaked out about receiving, it just blew me away. Like you said, a bottle of water. They want to know what your angle is. Like, what do I have to do now that you gave me this water? Drink
Absolutely.
it?
Surely you must more than that. So right around the time that I guess began to wake up, if you will, that's at
Mhm.
least when I moved to Atlanta, because when I was in Indianapolis, again, that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
I did work for the homeless with the homeless, various agencies. Since moving to Atlanta, I had to start a refire, if you will, to get back out there again. That was 8+ years ago. So in total, I'd probably say about 15, 20 years in total. I've done some form of outreach, evangelistic work, if you call it that.
Right.
Um,
I think we
but
have
I
a
see,
hard time putting a title on it though, because it just comes natural because it's what the Father has put into your heart. But then you're like,
yeah,
oh wait, this should be an organization. Who do I go to for paperwork? You don't really know because you just do it naturally.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's an innate, it's an instinctive desire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very
Mm-hmm.
passionate about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we do go out, I
Mm-hmm.
try to take as much as I can, water,
Mhm.
food, clothing. Sometimes a few weeks ago, I didn't have anything. All I had was a bag of suckers, and so I went out with a bag of suckers and handed a sucker to as many homeless people
Probably
as
help
I
some
could.
diabetic folks or something. They need this little sugar rush for a second. So you never know.
Yeah. So, so
Yeah.
you do again, and I found myself
Hmm.
standing in front of one homeless man. He had his chessboard out with pieces all over the place.
Okay.
I said, man, I used to know how to play this. My wife taught me how to play this years ago. I done forgot what moves do what. As I'm talking, he's setting up the chess pieces. He said, come on, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna retrain you. So there we were,
Oh,
suckers on each side.
all right.
He's showing me, refreshing me on how to play chess. And it's those kind of relationships that you build upon,
Hmm.
and that becomes an avenue, a conduit of which you can share the
Hmm.
Bazorah, the gospel, the delivery of what Yahushua has provided
Hmm.
concerning the redemption of Israel and the
Hmm.
grace unto Gentiles that would receive. And so that's really kind of the short story. It's funny because as I would go out, I initially took out, a cooler with some beans and rice,
Hmm.
and I had a small portable radio that I
Hmm.
would play music from my phone.
Hmm.
And then over time, I got some other speakers
Hmm.
and generator,
Hmm.
not thinking anything about a DJ.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of leading into how I became a DJ, and I've shared this story more than once.
Hmm.
And next thing you know, I got an iPad, and I'm doing something with the iPad with music, and then I got
Right.
a DJ controller,
Hmm.
and so I just started, scratching and fading and mixing out there. So I had
Hmm.
no contemporary experience other than being out there amongst the homeless, learning how to rotate between sounds.
Hmm.
I remember a homeless man by the name of Mr. Nims. He's like, Yoel, he talks real fast. Yoel, you ever thought about being a DJ? It's like, what? You ever thought about being a DJ? It's like, no, man, I'm not thinking about being a DJ up in the clubs. That's what I was thinking.
Right. Right.
And he said, man, you ought to consider really being a DJ and use that to generate funds so you can support the work you're doing.
Right. Right.
That's the wisdom of the homeless man. And so that kind
Hmm.
of became, my experience being known, quote, as, DJ Yoel.
Right.
But separate from the music piece, my heart still remains with homeless.
Hmm.
I have moved and also, in addition, moved into another space that incorporates providing care, and that's with working with low income communities.
Hmm.
I didn't know until I started working with low income communities that the
Hmm.
need in the low income space
Hmm.
is greater in many respects to the homeless space.
Right.
I had no idea that phenomenon existed until I talked with someone that does care in both circles.
Hmm.
I said, Mother so and so, I said, I'm beginning to work with these low income communities and youth in these apartment complexes, and I'm seeing that there's almost a greater need. She said, oh, baby, yeah. She said, many of these apartments, these homes, they may have 3 or 4 families in a single dwelling.
Right. Right.
Then because you got, kids, the kids need undergarments
Hmm.
and breakfast and school supplies and
Hair
socks,
combs and hair grease and
and backpacks and,
hmm.
shirts that match their uniform outfit for the school and
Hmm.
detergent to wash them.
Yeah.
And and so you just begin to see these pockets of needs,
Hmm.
and each one has its own set of challenges,
Right.
but you become more abreast and more aware and more knowledgeable. For example, when I started doing research, I'm thinking, okay, let me see what the percentage is
Hmm.
for those that work or don't work, because
Yeah.
you can assume the majority of homeless don't work. And you find out 40 to 60%, they are employed.
Yeah.
They actually work.
They're the working poor.
They're the working poor,
Hmm.
right? I mean,
Hmm.
so many, that are homeless that do work can't afford $1,300 or $1,600, and I think the average now is
And
1,800.
and two deposits, like two times the deposit, and food and utilities and just all of these different things that add up because it's truly a thing set up a classism situation. That's where we're at. We're at a classism
Absolutely,
situation. Hmm.
without question, without
Hmm.
question.
Yeah.
And then you find that about 20%, 23% deal with mental illness.
Yes.
And we could you could almost put that, well, not necessarily, because mental illness is one thing, but trauma is something that is imposed because of something that was very traumatic in someone's life.
Right.
Um, and so you deal with those that deal with trauma and or medical issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this kind of overlapping scenario where folks that are homeless,
Mm-hmm.
the majority experience it only for a very short time. And so you have this, and it's really the average is about 24 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have what looks like a very large city. Let me scoot back a little bit. You have what looks like a very large city, an overlapping cascade effect
Mm-hmm.
of those where you may see a large homeless population, but what you
Right.
have is someone that's coming into the homeless experience and or exiting out of the homeless experience. So
Mm-hmm.
many scenarios are episodal. They're based on a layoff. They're based on the sickness. They're based on something that was, maybe
Right.
disruptive in their life. Maybe the house got caught on fire. They didn't have
Mm-hmm.
insurance, or they didn't
Mm-hmm.
know how to, get the most out of their whatever their policy was to get reestablished. And so you have a lot of things that can work against someone trying to get out of a very difficult situation. Another thing that's a challenge is for those that do become homeless, because they are seeking employment, they have to prove they have a residence. And if you cannot prove you have a legitimate residence,
Mm-hmm.
most employment agencies or organizations will not employ you,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're skilled.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of things are, I learned that also, like to get a bank account, you need to have a residence as well. Can't just put down a PO box, because sometimes you can just put a PO box down. And then another trick is the PO box actually gives you a physical address, and sometimes you can use that. But sometimes it won't work. And there are several just roadblocks. And don't even mention transportation. Like there are some places that are, I don't know what, maybe it's called a walking desert, maybe. Like they don't have sidewalks. Like there's no sidewalks, there's no bus stop. Like you are set apart from actual transportation. So, I mean, there's so many roadblocks. But in that, tell me how Yoel helps actually helps in that. Tell us a synopsis of what this nonprofit organization does. We've talked around it, but let's talk to it directly.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yoa Helps, in short, we provide resources as best we can to those in need, to those that are disenfranchised, certainly
Mhm.
to the male youth,
Mhm.
the adult population.
Mhm.
And so there's pieces that we're growing and
Mhm.
putting into,
Mhm.
but immediately we provide, clothing resources. There's a couple food bank institutions we work with where we
Mhm.
gather food and
Mhm.
water. We distribute those when
Mhm.
we can and we can. Um, that's where we go out and we provide hoodies and blankets.
Mhm.
Separate from this event we did over the weekend,
Mhm.
about a week or so before that, I went to Hurt Park, a very well-known park with a very dense homeless population, and I got bags of jeans and suits and, and dress shirts and ties and all that stuff. And so you do what you obviously can. Now, relationships that we're building at present
Mhm.
is to provide services for veterans. So we're kind of engaged in a conversation there.
Okay.
We're also moving into space where we're going to be providing some sense of ministry of social connection, working with elders and nursing
Mhm.
homes. There's a relationship that's being built right there.
Mhm.
So there's about what's called, we got six what's called service of care
Mhm.
initiatives. And that's funny because as you grow, you begin to put some very static stuff in place so that you can
Yes.
communicate effectively what it is you do. So
Mhm.
we got a service of care for the homeless. I just kind of echoed some of that.
Mhm.
Service of care for the youth. That in part deals with providing outreach and mentorship
Mhm.
for youth. There's one low income community we've
Mhm.
adopted. That's the language we take on.
Okay.
There's another one, two more that we're going to adopt where we show our
Mhm.
presence at least once a month.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Activities, coloring activities, music
Mhm.
activities, talk
Wow.
about accountability,
Mhm.
positive image,
Mhm.
understanding who God or Yah is, at least from
Mhm.
their vernacular,
R-
understanding that.
Right. Right.
Learn how to say shalom one to another. And so
Mhm.
that's what we do with the youth care.
Mhm.
The senior care, that's an initiative we're launching probably as of yet this week. I have a meeting with someone later on
Mhm.
this week about providing some kind of because we need to still connect with our seniors, and we need to
Oh,
show them love.
yes,
That's all part of building a healthy
mhm,
community.
yes,
Um, there's some other initiatives that I'm kind of still working on. I guess I mentioned the name. It's called Prison Care. We don't have the relationship in place yet,
hmm,
but we at least have a component where we have a drive to at least reach our brothers that are incarcerated to provide
right,
some sense of love and compassion.
yeah, yeah,
If I didn't mention the veteran care, that's another piece.
yeah,
But what we've done over the last few years has
hmm,
really been the focus of working with homeless and homeless only.
right,
Last year,
hmm,
we began to step into the low income where we adopt communities. So that's kind of a still growing development thing.
okay,
There's an
okay,
agency that I'm working with that provides employment and employability
mm,
that we have in place. There's another agency we're looking to secure that. And so it's going to put us in a position to where we're not only just providing, food, clothing, and hygiene kits, which we do a lot of,
right,
but also to put us in the capacity to where if you need employment, call our
yeah,
number, call this number, they're a partner of ours,
hmm,
and be sure to, get you what you need for,
right,
the application and get you started, hopefully a job very soon. So we're
right,
these are pieces that we're working on. We see it as growth, but
yeah.
it's time for growth because you want to give more than just a sandwich. You
Yeah,
want to.
and it's a work in progress. It's daily because Yah provides ideas that he is requiring of you daily, and you just are waiting for him to put the pieces together for you. But we know the word says faith without works is dead, so we have to just continue putting in the work and watch it grow as it does, because he can make something out of what seems like nothing to us, and he's always doing that just to even grow our faith, as we're out here trying to help others to the faith. He's helping us grow our faith by amazing us by what he does and how he does it. Now, with your organization, and what they're doing, I think you had something going on with shoes you were collecting. Is that over? Is that ongoing?
No, that's ongoing. I'm
Okay.
glad you brought that up because I'd have missed that entirely. There's actually the thing is, there's so much. Like I'm looking at my whole profile of Yoa Helps because I've been kind of editing and tightening stuff up,
Mhm.
and so I got a whole slew of things there.
Yes.
But some of the initiatives, I just mention them right now.
Mhm.
Again, this weekend we did the homeless overnight event, so we spent the night. We did wrap it up about 1 or 2 o'clock because
Mhm.
all the men served. We were giving food and clothing, hundreds of pieces of clothing.
Wow.
But I have an active shoe drive. It's
Mhm.
ongoing. There's no end date,
Mhm.
so there's going to be times throughout the year where we take the shoes that we've collected
Mhm.
and actually have a distribution point. So the first
Wow.
distribution point date is going to be sometime in April.
Mhm.
The person I mentioned on the first part of the broadcast, this gentleman came and shared his testimony about his Hebrew experience. He said, "Hey man, I work with a lot of youth,
Mhm.
and I would love to have our youth come to support you when you do your shoe distribution. We love to be the labor force to
Mhm.
make sure the homeless get these shoes,
Yeah.
on their
Yeah.
feet." And so I thank the Most High through that relationship. So, but the shoe drive is ongoing. What I'm looking for is for those that would like to be a collection point,
Mhm.
like to collect shoes from your family, from your
Mhm.
friends, from your
Mhm.
coworkers,
Mhm.
from your neighbors, and then you and I could
Mhm.
have a meeting spot where I
Mhm.
collect those shoes from you.
Mhm.
I would enjoy that. If any individual that's listening has 10 plus more shoes,
Right.
it'd be that'd be worth my time to come meet you somewhere. If you got one pair of shoes, well, may the
Send
most
that
high
to me.
bless. Yeah, you can send them to me. You can send them to me.
Yeah.
But we're looking for shoes that are lightly worn, no lawn shoes. We're looking for shoes that could be worn as basketball or
Right.
walk shoes or running shoes or
Right.
boots, something that's appropriate for
Mhm.
uh, dress or casual attire. From size 8 to about 15.
Oh,
It's kind of
yes.
it's
Yes.
kind of the mix. We do have shoes donated to us from women, but high heels, sparkly is not what we're looking to
No.
redistribute.
No, you're not going to the
Oh,
brunch downtown or something. You need
yeah.
some shoes that are going to be sustainable. But you know what I just thought about as you talked about the different sizes that you need. when I was doing this, people, because they don't have proper shoes, they end up having tremendous foot problems. Like it's terrible. So not only shoes, but maybe you should start collecting insoles as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did your listening audience hear that?
Insoles. We're collecting insoles and shoes. Yes,
And shoes.
absolutely.
And
Yes.
socks. And
Yeah.
socks.
Yes,
New
socks
new socks.
yes. Sock. Now, what is that one sock company that they donate to the homeless people?
I don't know.
Oh, I do, and I can't think of it. It's on the tip. I'm gonna look it up right now as we're talking.
Sure, sure.
Look it up because they definitely donate to homeless organizations, and they are great socks. Let's see.
Can I mention our website and phone number? Can I do that?
You should, yes, because I forgot to do that.
Okay. So our website is simply www.yoelhelps. That's YOEL helps HELPS.org.
Mhm,
YOELhelps.org. And my phone number is the direct mobile. I'm gonna give you two numbers.
mhm,
My direct mobile is 770
mhm,
256 2241. Again,
mhm,
770 256 2241. The second number is our text service platform that we have where we can send updates about what we're doing. This is like all things Yoel. So it's
mhm.
Yoel Helps, there's music stuff that we're going to do, there's other community engagements. But if you simply text the word serve, SERVE, to the following text number,
Mhm.
517 777 YOEL or 9635. Again, that's text the word serve, SERVE, to 517 777 YOEL or 9635. And what we'll do is we'll add you to the service and we'll send out occasional updates. And we're talking stuff, for community outreach, low income mentorship programs, whether it's a concert music thing I'm hosting, whether it's a business networking. I'm a believer in community. So
Yes.
we'll have a business event and you'll have all kind of folks there. Everyone may not have the same conviction,
Right,
but that's okay. We build with them,
right,
break bread with them, and hopefully we can gain and they can gain. That's at least my
right.
passion.
Well, that totally makes sense. Now, they can also join you on social media. How would they do that?
Oh yeah, you can visit our page on social media on Facebook. Just simply search Yoa Helps page to come up.
Mhm,
Click like
mhm,
or follow or whatever.
mhm,
And so I do a lot of posts there.
mhm,
My personal, I'm not sure if I have any additional connections left, but if you just want to search Yoel,
mhm,
the Hebrew,
mhm,
send a personal invite. I try to grab that as best I can. I got so many folks I'm connected to. You
mhm,
can certainly follow that. Um, but I would say the website is
mhm.
probably probably the most impactful
Okay,
because the website you can click and connect and be part of the news group on the website.
right.
Um, yeah, you can sign up as a volunteer. The volunteer page is pretty impressive. Are you able to go there? Can you go there just so I can kind of point something out really fast?
Let me see if it'll let me do that. Let me share.
Um,
Um,
so other than the shoe drive, another initiative that we're doing as it relates to community events is
okay, let's see.
yeah,
What is the website? What do we do?
Yoel, YOEL,
Mm-hmm.
helps.org.
Let's see. Oh, site can't be reached. Um, oh,
You
maybe because I have four
oh yeah.
W's.
How about you get rid of one of
I
those?
have four W's. I don't know what planet I was connecting to, but there it is right there. Okay.
So yeah, for those out there in the internet space, the three W's will work. Not
Not four. Okay.
YOLHelp.org. And on the calendar link, it lists
Okay.
events we have coming up, and that's going to be populated with some other stuff going out. But
Okay.
one of the things you'll see in March, it'll load in just a second.
Oh, you said
One of the
March?
things,
Let's see.
one of the
March.
things you'll see in March 24th.
Okay.
I got
24.
many events I'm doing, but March 24th, that's called a 10-mile forgiveness walk.
Wow.
10-mile forgiveness walk. And some would think, well, that's an interesting name. Exactly what does that mean?
Hmm.
Well, if you want to commit 10 miles, I'm going to we walk out 5 and come back 5. If you want to walk out 1 mile and come back, that'll put you at a 2 mile commitment. But
Mm-hmm.
we're encouraging for those that can, from a health standpoint, if they can do 10 miles, great. So within that walk, what you're doing is you're covering those that are dealing with a very challenging thing, and that's unforgiveness. Some people have
Mm.
been so traumatized, so emotionally hurt, so emotionally distraught, where there's no resolve. Maybe a
Right.
woman was abused, maybe a man found out his wife was, having an adulterous affair with a brother, whomever. And so some of these things that sometimes are so deep emotionally, it's there. Many can be so entangled with bitterness and hurt,
Yeah.
loneliness, that they don't know how to get rid of that vice. And
Mm.
so I think the care we should issue, and the minimum,
Mm.
is to pray for those dealing with unforgiveness that they might be relieved.
Mm.
And during this walk,
Mm.
also pray that the Father would help us to forgive others that offended us.
Wow, that's deep.
So for those that are dealing with offense, or for those that you know of that need prayer,
Mm-hmm.
let's identify that we're all in some point of. I had some brothers offend me, and boy, I was messed up. Oh man, I was, boy, man. Listen, I'm being transparent. And I thank the Most High for allowing me to go through these stages of emotion, because we cannot negate that there's an emotional stage that happens for us that have been offended. And we have to go through that process. And sometimes it takes someone to go along with you,
Mm-hmm.
that listen, the hurt, you feel the hurt. The anger is justified. The
Mm-hmm.
frustration is justified. But let's get through this so you can at least release them unto the Most High Yah, and you're no longer held captive
Mm-hmm.
by the vice of bitterness, even though it still may sting or hurt, you're
Mm-hmm.
not held. So this 10 mile forgiveness walk is to encourage community, is to encourage building connection with folks that may join us on this walk, as we pray for those needing help to forgive, and also praying that Abba would help us to forgive others. And so, in the detail on the page, you can see, as I kind of read mid-sentence, this
Right.
walk will provide the space needed for inner healing, emotional resolve, and self-reflection. Invite your Assembly, Home Fellowship, church, co-worker, and family members.
Mm-hmm.
Consider hosting a 10 mile forgiveness walk in your own city.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not anywhere near Metro Atlanta, and by the way, we have the address at which we're going to start at. It's the Silver Common Trail, mile marker 0.
Right.
We'll go out.
So that, let's see.
But if you're not in the Atlanta space and you still want to commit to this on the same day, again, it's going to be Sunday, March 24th, starting at 9 a.m. If you want to host your own, reach out to me. The details are very simple. Find a space where you can walk out 5 miles and come back. It could be a track. You might want to walk all around up to 10 miles, or
Now, are
whatever you.
y'all gonna have some food at this walk?
We are looking for sponsors. That's a
Okay.
very good question. We're looking for sponsors to provide food, water, snacks, tents. I have that on the flyer. I didn't think to send that flyer to you before this meeting, but
It's okay. It's okay.
I'll get it. It's going to be well advertised
Yeah. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
this month.
Send that flyer out so we can get it up and people can make sure that they connect with you before
Sure,
the 24th and sponsor this walk. And some people may want to drive to Smyrna, Georgia to take the walk with you. So
sure.
we got to make sure that they do that, or that they get the information so that they can do that. Now, the company that I was talking about is called Bombas, Bombas. I know that they give free socks to organizations for the homeless. And as I was looking up Bombas, there are other organizations that give socks as well. And of course, they're brand new socks.
Okay.
So we have to be the conduits of information to one another so that we can make sure that everybody gets what they need and Yah will be glorified. I mean, that's the whole thing. We want to make sure that He gets all the glory, because it's not us. We are just willing servants that are blessed to do the work.
Hallelujah. I like that. I'm on their site. I see this. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
this is very impressive.
Yes, it's great. I'm telling you, I have the socks and I've had them for 5 years and there's not a hole in one. They are great socks. They are great socks. Yes.
And so,
They are
and
great.
so for anyone that wants to give, you can certainly visit the website we just
Uh,
mentioned, yoelhelps.org. There's
yes.
a link on there for donate. We have a
Mhm.
Cash App and Zelle and PayPal.
Perfect. Yes.
Cash App, I think that's all mentioned under the donate. But anyhow,
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
the Cash App is simply yoelhelps.org.
mhm,
Yoelhelps.org.
mhm.
Well, you want to say it several times so they get it right.
Yeah. Got to do it three times is the winner. I think,
Yoel helps
yeah, according to Dr. Umar Johnson, I think, who says that, yeah, three times.
And for those that might want to Zelle or PayPal, you would send it to the following address: Yoel Helps at yoelhelps.org.
Mhm,
Yoel Helps at yoelhelps.org. You can send
mhm,
it by way of the email. That'll be received either through PayPal, Zelle, whatever tool
mhm,
you use.
mhm. And of
Um,
course, you could always use more volunteers. So we want to make sure that the
yes,
people reach out to you so that they can become volunteers because, we have to do that. How are our people going to be helped unless we decide to take the first step in helping? So we need to make sure that that happens. So I pray that everybody makes that connection that is listening, makes the connection with you and decides to do something, whether it be donate shoes, donate time, take a walk, send a meal, cook a meal, come to one of the gatherings or whatever, but just find their place in how they can give back because it's very important. Well, brother, do you have any last words for the guests, the people listening? Because we want to make sure that you get to say what you need to say before we go.
I would like to share in short that providing any form of evangelistic work, any form of outreach, is needed. Every
Mhm,
community, whether
mhm,
you're in Metro Atlanta or whether you're abroad,
mhm,
you providing some service, even if it's a case of water, you choose to donate at a women's shelter or a men's
mhm,
shelter.
mhm,
Even if you don't think you're much of a giver, but you're good at just saying, hey, be
mhm,
encouraged. Maybe you
mhm,
can join some shelter, some community, or some organization
mhm,
and just choose to read a poem or sing a song. You'd be surprised what gift you have,
mhm,
the immeasurable difference it can make in someone's life. And you'll
mhm.
never know the impact until you make that little small impact.
Yes.
Other than that, check serve to 517-777 Yoel or 9635, and I'll be sure to keep you abreast and updated of things that we're doing in the community.
I'm excited for the breakthroughs that are going to be made. And something that I tell people to do often is, we look at our children in the foster system because they're really overly represented there. That's just another portion of our people that are overly represented in a very bad place, just like the prison. And I tell people if you can foster a child, then go ahead and do that. Like if you have the willingness, the know-how, and the spirit to do such a thing, if the Holy Spirit is within you, go ahead and do that because it definitely takes Yah to do that work. But if you can't, find a foster family and donate gift cards to them monthly. Like give them gift cards to go buy those children's shoes, to go, everybody wants to say it's like, oh, they're doing it for the money. You don't get that much money. I realize that there are people doing wicked things, but there are some people that really want to have the heart to do this, but they still struggle because the state's not going to support these children. So if you know of a foster family, or if you can get in contact with CASA, CASA is an organization that represents children in the foster system. I am a CASA, but I'm on a great hiatus. Um, just reach out to CASA and find out how you can donate some gift cards to these families. Just give back. Get in a position of giving back monthly. If you're an Israelite, you may have stopped giving to the church the tithes and offerings because we're talking about it's food and you're doing all these things. We are still encouraged to give, so we have to make sure that we are being
Absolutely.
seen in righteousness. So yeah, that's all I have to say today, brother, but we will definitely talk again. I appreciate you for coming on here and speaking with me for a whole hour. We're on the same time zone, but you probably have 1,000 things you could be doing, but I appreciate you.
1001.
Yes, and you can come back anytime that you want to share an event that you're doing. Let us know. We're happy to get you on, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the invite, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate the conversation. It was
Yes.
very delightful. Thank you so much.
Yes. I mean, if we had 2 more hours, we still wouldn't get done. I'm telling you, we got a lot to say, and that's a good thing. Well, praise Yah. We also want to just thank everyone for listening again. For those who are frequent here on this channel, you know that our scripture for the outro is Philippians 4:8. And so let's read it now. It is finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. I'm your sister Cece. This is PQLR1 Radio, and we hope that you will have a blessed night. Praise Yah.